right, welcome back, Pre-Calc. Hope your break was relaxing, got a chance to get away from math for a little bit. So as we're back now, first off, if you did not complete the Chapter 3 scatter plot quiz over break, please make sure that you get that done soon. Okay, I'm putting those grades in today, and that'll be in as a 0 if you don't have it done. So please take care of that. Only 2 weeks left in the semester. Make sure we're getting all missing work in, so especially the tests and quizzes. Now, today, and also again later this week, we're going to be doing a trig preview. So at the back of the packet, I'll also upload a copy of this in the folder, so you can go to today's folder and find a copy of this PDF. But we're going to be doing a trig preview on angles and their measure. Okay, so to start off with that, this is just to give you a little preview of what next semester will be in trig. We're going to start by exploring degrees a little bit. Okay, so as we do this, we want to start on the right side. So we're going to start on the right, and I know you guys don't have this circle picture. I should have put that on there. But we start on the right side, so right here, and then we're going to go counterclockwise. Okay, just like many of you guys probably remember in the coordinate plane, we have like quadrant 1 is up to the top right, then 2, then 3, then 4. Okay, it's that same idea. So start on the right side right here. Now, hopefully you know a fourth of the way around the circle. I'm guessing most of you know the whole circle is 360 degrees. Okay? So one whole rotation is 360. A quarter of the way would be 90 degrees. Halfway is a 180 degrees. Anyone play Tony Hawk Pro Skater as a kid? That's probably where I was exposed to degrees for the first time, doing a 360 or a 900, 180, things like that. But then 3/4 away around, that would be 270 degrees. And obviously in between here, there's all sorts of other answers, right? Like here's 45 and etc. But quarter turn 90, half turn is 180, 3/4 is 270, and the whole way around is 360. Okay, now that's if we go counterclockwise. If we would say like find negative 90 degrees for this chapter, that means go clockwise. It means the opposite direction. Okay, so positive is going to be starting on the right and going counterclockwise. Now, degrees, I'm guessing, are not that hard of a concept to you. However, what we're going to talk about next is radians. And just like the best example I have is think how like when we measure someone's height, we can measure them in feet, although you also could measure them in meters. Okay, it's just a different unit, a different scale. And we know like how long a foot is. We are not as familiar with meters because we don't use the metric system here, but we could find out how tall we are in meters if we needed to. Okay, in the same way, degrees is what we're used to. However, radians is also a thing. So, what are radians? And radians, I'll write this down. Make sure you get this down. Even if you don't have the notes, at least write it down somewhere. It's the angle made when the radius is wrapped around the circle. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So when the radius All right, so the angle made when the radius is wrapped around the circle. So what we mean by that, right here in red there, that is our radius. Okay, so if I put like an R there, that is the radius. We know radius means from the center to the edge in a straight line. Okay, so there's 4 of them on here. There could be as many as we wanted. From the center to any edge, as long as it starts in the center, it will be the radius. Okay, so if we think about it here, somewhere over here. If I would lay that radius out on the edge, so right here, the distance is still r. So the radius, if I laid it on the side there, that would be r. And then the angle that's formed here, this angle right there, let me draw a better picture here. That is going to be 1 radian. All right, so as we said, this angle here, if the radius is wrapped around the edge, that angle is 1 radian. Okay, so if we were to draw another segment over here, let's see, so 2 radians would be somewhere around there, 3 radians somewhere around there. Now this last little chunk is actually going to be 0.14 radians. Okay, so if we think about that, now 0.14 is me rounding it, but if it was 1 radian, 2 radian, 3.14. So if we think about this is important here. The half circle has pi radians. So we know what pi is, 3.14. If we look here, if this would extend over, it's 1 radian, 2 radians, 3 radians, just a little bit more. So then for the whole circle, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus that little bit, it would be 2 pi radians. Okay, so right here, we're going to write that the whole circle has 2 pi radians. All right, so now if we look here, if we know half the circle is 180, so if we said half the circle is also pi radians, I could set it up here. Pi radians equals 180. Okay, so now that means 1 radian, if we divided both sides by pi, pi divided by pi on the left side would give us 1, so 1 radian would equal whatever 180 divided by pi was, which is about 57.296, keeps going, right, degrees. Okay, so that's kind of our approximation. So once again, the radians, if this is the radius on the edge, if we lay the radius on the edge, the angle formed, that is 1 radian. Okay, so down here, if we are asked to convert degrees to radians, if we start with x degrees, all we need to do is multiply it by pi and divide it by 180 degrees. Okay, if you look here, degrees and degrees, those will cancel and we'll be left with some amount of radians. So if you think about it, if you want to put that in words, the first step you do is multiply by pi. And then step 2, just divide by 180. Now, if we were trying to find an answer here, we want to just leave it in terms of pi. Okay, since pi is irrational, it keeps going, so we can have a precise answer. We're going to leave that in terms of pi. So if we think about this first one, we're going to multiply it by pi, so 60 degrees times pi, and then divide that by 180 degrees. Okay, so we know that 180, the degrees and degrees will cancel. 60 goes into 60 one time. 60 would go into 180 3 times. So this would equal 1 over 3, let me rewrite that. It'd equal 1 times pi, which is pi. Not sure what's up with my pen. Oh, there it goes. That was weird. All right, let me get that back. So it will equal pi over 3 as our answer. And that'd be pi over 3 radians. If it doesn't have a label here, pi over 3, we can assume that is in radians. Okay, now this next one, 200. So once again, we'll take 200 degrees times pi divided by 180 degrees. So degrees cancel. You can cancel that 0. That 0. 20 divided by 18. We know that 2 goes into 20 10 times. 2 goes in 18 9 times. And we're left with 10 pi divided by 9. Okay, now our next one. This one starts with a negative sign. Remember, if it's negative, that means it's going to go clockwise. So negative means clockwise. We solve it the same way, just at the end we have to put the negative sign there. So once again, I'll do negative 150 degrees times pi all over 180 degrees. Okay, the degree signs cancel. 0, 0 cancels. We normally do that if it's an ending 0, remember, but now 15 and 18. So 3 goes into both of those. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 18 6 times. And our final answer here would be negative 5 pi divided by 6. Okay, so now the final one, 23 degrees times pi divided by 180 degrees. Now on this one, the only thing we can cancel, that degree and degree, 23 and 180, we can't reduce those. Okay, so we're just left with 23 pi divided by 180 as our answer. Now I know you could use your calculator to get kind of a decimal approximation of this, but for now, for this chapter, these 2 days, we're just going to leave it like this. Okay. So now, the other thing we need to talk about today is what if you have to convert radians to degrees? So what if you have to go the other way? And it's just the opposite, okay? So it's the same exact thing. We're just going the opposite way now. So if we have x radians, we would multiply it by 180 degrees to get that degree back in and divide it by pi. That'll cause the pi to cancel out. Okay, so right here, multiply by 180 degrees. I'm going to put it in words, and then step 2, divide by pi. All right, so here we have pi over 6 times 180 degrees divided by pi. What will that equal? Okay, the pi's will always cancel in that case. And if we think about it, 6 goes into this 1 time. 6 goes into 180 30 times. And our final answer then, we would have 30 degrees as our answer. Okay, so our next one, 3 pi over 4 times 180 degrees divided by pi. So once again, pi cancels, pi cancels. Now in this case, we know hopefully 3 times 180 would give us 540 degrees over 4, which if we reduce that, we'll get 135 degrees. Now, if you prefer, on that one we didn't reduce early on. We could have, but if you miss it, so for example, 4 goes into 180 evenly, we could have reduced there. Instead, we waited and reduced at the end. Okay, it does not matter which way you do it as long as you reduce at some point. So this next one, 8 pi divided by 9. We want to multiply that by 180 degrees, divide by pi. So pi and pi cancel. Now on this, we also hopefully know 9 goes into 9 once. 9 goes into 180 20 times. Okay, so now our final answer, 8 times 20 gives us 160 degrees. On the bottom, we just have this 1. Now this next one, 55 pi over 36. So times 180 degrees, as always, divided by pi. So the easiest part here, the pi's, when we're changing back to degrees, always cancel out. Okay. Now, 36 goes into 36 one time. It goes into 185 times. 5 times 36 would give us 180. So at this point now, we're left with 5 times 55, which you might not know this. If that's the case, that's fine. Just pull up your calculator, do 5 times 55. We get 275 degrees. All right, 2 more. Once again, this negative sign means it's going to go clockwise. Okay, if we were drawing this on a shape. So negative pi over 4. Once again, we're going to always times it by 180 degrees divided by pi. Pi will cancel with pi. And at this point, we said, kind of like last time, 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 180 45 times. And our final answer then is going to be negative 45 degrees. All right, we're just about done. The final one here, 13 pi over 5 times 180 degrees divided by pi. What will that equal? So once again, cancel your pi's out. Now 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 will go into 180. Let's think about this. It's 36 times, okay? So now we're almost done. All we have to do is multiply our 13 and 36. So 13 times 36, and that gives us 468. So we get 468 degrees. Now, if we think about that, 468, that is more than 360. So that would be one time around plus an additional 108 degrees. So this is just kind of an introduction to radians of degrees. If you have any questions, please let me know. And please don't forget, go into It's Learning, complete the assignment. It shouldn't take you that long. Hope you guys have a great day.